Chapter 17. Bewitched. "Get off her!" Philippa yelled, swiping into the man with her bike. Samson lunged at him and dragged him off Dawn, but all the people from the street shuffled toward them slowly with their arms outstretched. Despite their sluggish pace, they were relentless, forming a circle around Dawn and Philippa. "Come on, let's ride," Philippa said, tugging Dawn away. "Hurry, pedal fast, they're coming for us." That kicked Dawn into action. She stood up on her pedals, then rode as hard as she could. They broke through the zombified townsfolk. They sped out of town, with Samson keeping pace. The people lurched and shuffled after them. Dawn and Philippa didn't stop until they reached a deserted stretch of road outside town by the woods. Then they turned to look behind them. One by one, the people in town startled awake and looked around in surprise, unsure what had happened to them. But they seemed mostly okay as they returned to their business. "Whoa, that was close," Philippa said. She and Dawn were both breathing hard. Even Samson was panting. Darkness was falling fast. The woods were silent, like they were listening to them. "It's getting worse." "What do we do now?" Dawn asked. I don't know," Philippa said, stifling a yawn. "Oh no, it's affecting you now?" Dawn said. "Nah, I'm actually tired," she explained. "Like normal tired. Not zombie sleeping cursed by a dark fairy tired. It's been a really long day." "You can say that again," Dawn said, feeling exhausted too. Just go home and get some rest," Philippa said. "It's getting dark, which means danger lurks. I'll see you at school in the morning. I'll think of something, I promise." "I hope so," Dawn said, feeling fear replacing the tiredness in her body. "The buyer's coming to the shop tomorrow. If they sell the wheel, then it will be too late to stop this." Dawn showed up to school the next day, feeling sick to her stomach over everything that had happened. She made sure to stop by the antique shop on the way for new sunglasses. Not only did she not have a plan, but the curse was growing stronger. She left her aunts dozing in their shop, hoping they'd wake up after she left. She hurried through the halls, keeping her eyes hidden behind the dark glasses. Then she slid behind her desk. Philippa wasn't there yet. That worried her. Ring! Right at the bell, Philippa rushed in. "Sorry, Mr. Blankenship. I slept through my alarm. I don't know what got into me." "That's okay," Mr. Blankenship said with a wry chuckle. "At least it wasn't Samson causing trouble this time. Please, take your seat. Seems everyone is sleepy lately." Dawn kept her face hidden as Philippa slid behind her desk, but glimpsed something out of the corner of her eye. It was Leah. "OMG, are you okay?" Kaylee said. "We were so worried about you." "Yeah, what happened?" Stephanie added. "You were out like a whole week." "Honestly, I don't really remember much," Leah said, clearly loving all the attention. "My parents said I just slept the whole time." She smiled and twirled her hair. Despite her worries, Dawn felt herself growing angry again. That was it? Just a measly week of sleeping? Leah looked back and spotted Dawn. "Ugh, what is she wearing?" Leah said with a deep scowl. "Mr. Blankenship, we aren't allowed to wear sunglasses in class, right? Isn't that in the school dress code?" Mr. Blankenship looked at Dawn. "Sorry, but you'll have to give me those until after class," he said with a shake of his head. "Leah is right." Dawn immediately panicked. No, I can't take them off. It's dangerous." "They're just sunglasses," Mr. Blankenship said with a frown. "Ugh, she's lying again," Leah said with a pout. "Can't you see that? She thinks she can break the rules and get away with everything. Mr. Blankenship, it's not fair." "Dawn, if you don't hand those over right now," Mr. Blankenship said sternly, "then I'll have to send you to the principal's office. The rules are clear." He strode over to her desk and held out her hand. But Dawn held the glasses to her face. refusing to take them off. No, I can't. I promise, there's perfectly good reason. She trailed off, knowing that nobody here would believe her story about curses and dark fairies. She could feel the whole class watching her. Dawn, one last chance, Mr. Blankenship said in a strained voice. Don't do it, Philippa mouthed. But Dawn didn't have a choice. She slid the sunglasses off and kept her eyes shut. She placed them in Mr. Blankenship's hand. How was she going to get through the rest of the day? But then she heard something. She's the worst, Leah whispered, always breaking rules. Kaylee and Stephanie laughed. Those classes are hideous, Kaylee said. Yeah, why would she want to keep them? Stephanie added. The whole class broke out into jeers and laughter. And before she knew what she was doing, Dawn felt terrible rage rush through her. Oh yeah? Dawn said. Is that what you think? She turned around and looked right at Leah. Leah met her eyes and then suddenly fell asleep at her desk. Her head nodded forward as her snores reverberated around the room. All the other kids turned to watch. Oh, no, wake up, Kaylee said, shaking Leah. She caught Dawn watching them. Her expression morphed to one of horror. Wait, did you do this to her? Did you cause this? Yeah, this is your fault, Stephanie cried out. But then, as they looked directly at Dawn, both girls fell asleep at their desks. Now the whole class turned to look at her. And suddenly, just like the three girls, they each dozed off. Even Mr. Blankenship started snoring away on his feet. No, I swear, Dawn said, suddenly regretting it. I didn't mean it. Suddenly, Philippa grabbed her arm. Dawn, come on, let's go. They jumped up from their desks and tiptoed toward the door. All the kids were snoring away, but then they jerked their heads around, even though their glasses were still closed. Slowly, like zombies, they rose to their feet. Dawn and Philippa backed away in fear. Even Mr. Blankenship lunged toward Philippa. Poor simple fools, he hissed in the dark fairy's voice. Think you can escape me? Leave her alone, Dawn said, smacking him with the dry eraser. He startled awake. What's happening? He stammered, seeing all of his students lurching toward them. Just go back to sleep, Dawn said, meeting his eyes. You'll forget everything. On command, Mr. Blankenship fell asleep again. Maybe the curse did have perks, she thought darkly. But the kids were still coming for them. They shuffled with their arms outstretched. They moved slowly but with great determination. Come on, quick! Dawn grabbed Philippa's hand, and they ran for the door, then slammed it behind them. Dawn dragged a chair to the door and wedged it under the doorknob. Suddenly, bang! Leah smacked the window in the door, then pushed her face into it. Give it back! The spinning wheel belongs to me! How dare you try to deceive the mistress of all evil? She was speaking in Maleficent's voice. The door rattled as Leah bashed her body into it over and over, but it held fast. Dawn and Philippa didn't have any time to lose. Their chair would only hold it for so long. Together they bolted down the hall and ran for their bikes. They rode away from the school as fast as they could, only pausing to rest on the outskirts of town, down by the woods. Dawn's heart was still racing. Wow, that was close. So much for school. That was freaky, Philippa said, but fortunately she looked wide awake. Maleficent is bewitching people, Dawn said. Anyone I look at. She possesses them, Philippa agreed. Makes them do her bidding. Exactly, Dawn said. What are we going to do? The buyer's coming today. Philippa thought it over. Well, I have a plan. It's a long shot, but it's the best I've got. What is it? Dawn said, feeling hope stir in her heart. When the buyer shows up to collect the spinning wheel today, Philippa said, your aunts will have to unlock the safe, right? Well, maybe we could sneak off with the spinning wheel and destroy it. That way, we can end the sleeping curse once and for all. Wow, that's brilliant, Dawn said, exuding optimism for the first time. Thanks, Philippa said, blushing. Philippa pointed to her backpack. I brought supplies for our mission. She unzipped it. Dawn saw inside crumpled newspaper and a lighter. What's that for? Dawn asked, pulling the lighter out and flicking it. It burst into flame. Once we get the spinning wheel from your aunts, we'll burn it in a bonfire, Philippa said with a serious expression. That's the only way to defeat the Dark Fairy. If her power is infused in the wheel, then it should weaken her. Permanently. Okay, let's wait a little bit until after school hours, Dawn said. Then we can head over to the antique shop. I just hope it works, Philippa said. I mean, I've read books about stuff like this, but those are made-up stories. It's much scarier than when it's real life. My books always have happy endings. I hope that's how our story turns out, too. Dawn gave her a worried look. Maleficent won't be easily deceived. Caw! Caw! Suddenly, ravens swarmed overhead, almost like the Dark Fairy was spying on them. Dawn cowered. She had a bad feeling about it. But this was their only hope. They had to try.